Exciting conversation today. We are here with the legendary Mike Shumann. Mike, welcome down in the basement, man.
Well, I know. Thank you. I spent all the time upstairs negotiating my house and didn't even know you had a man cave down here.
Yeah. Hey, well, let's talk about that first.
All right.
Welcome to East Sacramento.
Yeah.
What's life been like, living in East Sac?
Actually, we love it. We came from the Thomas, of course, when we first came out, didn't know the area, and it's a funny story. I was going to put a bid in on a house on 48th Street.
Yep.
And Sid comes out of the house next door. So I thought he lived there. And I said, hey, do you live here? I was going to ask about the neighborhood. He goes, no, I own this house and the house on the other side. I go, oh, I want to buy the one in between. And that's
I said, I'm buying it. No, you can't buy it.
Yeah. So that's how I met him, just
Right.
on the happenstance. And he ended up becoming my realtor and sold me the house on 57th. Because we put a bid on 48th, I think.
We did,
And
but
then my wife got sick, and then I
some bad inspections, right?
Oh, yeah,
some stuff
exactly,
come
right,
through,
right. No fault of yours, of course.
No,
But
I was perfect, of course.
And as it turned out, it worked out, and I promised it. I said, dude, I'm going to buy a house from you in 2025. And trying to get the wife out of the house, we went and looked at the house I'm in. We ended up buying. And it was Saturday, Sunday open house. And I called Sid. I said, I want to put a bid on. You got to have it in by 2:00. I said, what?
Yeah.
It was just open this weekend. I think they had like 11 bids and narrowed it down to 3.
Yeah.
And we ended up getting the house.
Yeah.
So it was one of these things I went out just to get the wife out of the house. And he calls you got it. I go, really?
Well,
So-
great negotiators make things happen.
That's
That's
true.
offers is
true.
nothing compared to
That's
Mike.
true,
We're here for
because
you.
there were
Yeah.
narrowed it down to 3, and Sid just reworded it, I think.
Yeah.
More than anything. And we got it. So we're really happy there, back in the neighborhood, and we're living in a condo. So it's worked out great, and hopefully it's my final home.
Love it.
So now it's my daughter's issue once I'm gone. So it's kind of a relief
Great
not to have
house
to
there,
worry
yeah.
again about moving.
That's awesome. So many years in the Bay Area.
Yeah, 40 years in the Bay Area, and I was joking with Sid. Bought 3 homes in the Bay Area in 40 years, never paid over 300. I was there from 78 to 2018. Lived in my last one in Mill Valley for 25 years. Come up to Sacramento thinking, yeah, I don't have to spend that much money. And of course, we hit the big
Pay
$7
$1 million.
Yeah, exactly. Just let everybody know.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, I talked to several friends. Hey, you got life insurance? Nah, I got a California home. That's worth $1 million anyway.
Yeah,
So.
no kidding.
So anyway, we're very happy, and it's really worked out well.
Well, I love it. Yeah, you told that funny story, and so Sid's calling me, and he's like, I just met this guy, and he played for the Niners. And so, of course, I'm like, awesome. I'm like, what's his name? Right? He's like, Mike Shumann. So then I talked to you the first time. You tell me you were when you were on the Niners. I say, I got a 1979 autographed football. You go get it.
Yeah.
Look me up. Sure enough.
Well,
He's on there.
my first thought, we were 2-14 that year. Why does anybody have a football with everybody's signature on it? And every day we came in, Chico Norton was the equipment manager, and he just signed the balls. There'd be 3 or 4 footballs out there, and we'd all just sign them. And after a while, your handwriting is just totally legible. So I took pride in my handwriting. I don't even think they teach cursive anymore.
How many footballs do you think you signed that season?
Oh, God. Well, that was 79. 81, now when we went to the Super Bowl, yeah, we might have signed a lot more. So charities got them, the NFL alumni wasn't that.
Well, you said, why do I have the 79? Boy, you had some pretty famous teammates that
Oh, no. That
worth
was
some money then, right?
That was Joe's rookie year, I think, Joe Montana, Dwight's rookie year. And I remember Dwight came in line in training camp, but Dwight was like 6'4", 215, which was pretty big for a wide receiver back then. And I said, dude, the tight ends are over there. And he goes, I'm a wide receiver. And I just went,
I'm not making it to
there goes my job, because Bill was an assistant in Cincinnati and Paul Brown was the head coach. And Bill thought he was going to get the head coaching job when Paul stepped down. But Bill had Chip Myers, 6'5", about 220, and Isaac Curtis, who liked that big X receiver, the fast flanker. And we had Freddie Solomon and myself then. And Freddie used to come to me in his old Southern wisdom, and he just would say, Chip and Isaac. That's who Bill wanted, and it wasn't me or Freddie. So eventually I got injured in 80, and Dwight inherited my job. I always teased him. I said, you never beat me out. You inherited due to an injury, and that's a big difference. But Bill's kind enough to keep me around, and then you realize the business of the game. I was that guy who could start for you, but you'd probably always find somebody better.
Yeah.
So instead of going by performance, I moved the chains. They'd go by potential. James Owens was a hurdler at UCLA. Bill drafted him. He brought in Ronaldo Nehemiah, the hurdler, because the 88 Olympics were boycotted.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew then my job. So I said to Bill, I said, don't keep me all the way through training camp and then trade me at the end of camp to teach Ronaldo how to be a receiver. Because, I would never do that. So I'd run a route, I'd come back, and you could see Bill talking to Ronaldo. Okay, see how Mike lowered his hips there when he broke into that? And I said, I'll be damned. So the last preseason game, we're playing the St. Louis Cardinals. Bill says, I'm going to start you and get you ready for the season. I said, you're showcasing me for the Cardinals, aren't you? And he got all kerflumped. He said, just have a good game. And sure enough, I caught 7 in that game, but I broke my thumb. And you're not supposed to trade somebody injured. So after the game, if your extremities usually broken bones won't show up on the first X-ray.
Sure.
So Larry Wilson, great Hall of Fame safety, was their GM. He called me. I said, yeah, we just traded for you. I said, I figured as much. I said, my thumb's broken. He goes, looks fine to me. So I played with a broken thumb in 82 the entire season. So we'd cast it up during the season. Game time, we just would tape it up. Every ball I caught, it just kept breaking more and more. And that's how to go. Because back then, if you didn't come off the field unless you couldn't walk.
Right.
Because the average salary was only about $75,000 when I played. You could find anybody off the streets to replace, a quote white receiver. So anyway, I had a couple of stories like that. Tore my knee, posterior cruciate. How wide the trainer comes up, well, why are you limping? I said, I'm not limping. That's just how I run. I knew something was wrong. And he sits down and he pulls from behind and knee comes out like a drawer. And he goes, dude, you tore your posterior. I said, I'm fine. And he took my helmet. I couldn't go back in the game. But that's how we just wouldn't come off the field back then, unless you couldn't walk. So
I want you to give us your best Joe Montana story. You said he was a rookie in 79. Right. And he came in, obviously, I believe, the GOAT, right? The best quarterback of all time. So people may say Brady, but give us your best Joe Montana story.
Well, when he first came in, he could not throw a spiral to save his life.
Okay.
So I called it a tight wobble. Just in between a wobble and but
people don't know he was like kind of the athletic quarterback.
Yeah, he was before. He was. We were both like 6'2", 185, 190 soaking wet, which was thin back then. And then he looked a little like Barry Manilow. So he got that nickname in camp. I won't say who gave it to him. And he hated it. But he was kind of my rookie. I had him go get donuts and stuff for me. And I think to this day, he appreciates the fact that I didn't kind of suck up to him. Yeah. But at that time, we weren't sure. He got taken in the 3rd round.
Sure.
And Steve DeBerg was the quarterback. Steve threw a beautiful ball to catch. And my joke was, DeBerg to Shumann sounds too much like a Jewish law firm. So Bill went with Montana to Clark. So I get injured. Steve gets traded. And poor Steve, everywhere he went to Tampa Bay, they drafted Testaverde. He went to Denver, they drafted John Elway. In Montana with the 49ers. So guy played like 18 years. But I think Joe's most known story is in that Super Bowl when we needed a drive to win the game. I think it was the 3rd one. And everybody's just tense. There's only a couple minutes left, and John Candy's sitting in this.
Harris Sargent, right?
Yeah, exactly. Look, it's John Candy and Harrison. Dude, we're trying to win the Super Bowl. I said, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And then there's another time on the sideline, he saw where the phone, we had these old phones, dial phones, where you could dial out from the sideline. And he picked it up, and he got a dial tone, so he called Jennifer, his wife, at home. She wasn't at the game. We didn't have cell phones back then. Hey, what's I'm on the sideline. This phone, I found this phone and it works. And this my offense, Joe. And he's hung up and left. So he was kind of a practical joker and just really quiet and shy in the beginning. And like I said, in practice, we're like, yeah, this guy can't. He got in the game, and gamers and guys who are good practice players. All of a sudden, his ball was in tight spiral. He never threw it outside of this. As a wide receiver, you were never laid out like this with Joe.
No moment too big.
No moment too big. And he just was amazing under pressure.
Yeah.
And he was a great athlete, great basketball player.
Okay.
And, but he just was, Bill just loved him. Bill knew he got lucky. Bill got lucky like Kyle got lucky with Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
They drafted him. Yeah, he performed well under pressure, and I think he won the Cotton Bowl his senior year after he'd come back from being ill. So there was a lot of great stories about Joe, and almost too many. I can't.
Well, I know on that 79 ball, you had some other famous teammates. I have O.J. Simpson, Al Cowlings. Tell us any
Well, Juice,
OJ.
when Juice, 78, I came in, and from the Dolphins, I got cut, and I got picked up mid-season. So I started the rest of that year, and OJ had just come from Buffalo. They were paying him like 850 grand, which was like 10 million today.
Wow.
We're all making 60. He's making 850 on one leg. His knee was gone.
That's wild.
But this guy could do stuff on one leg. Most guys couldn't do it too. It was amazing. And I thought to myself, because he was in Buffalo, back then there's maybe 1 or 2 NFL games on every week. That was it. You never really got to see him play, except for after USC. But he was just amazing. But he didn't know the playbook at all. So
Johnny Manziel.
Stephen called the play red right 22Z and OJ run a flat on 2. Red white 18
Oh,
bob.
you got the specific
Red right 18 bob. That's a sweep to you, OJ, to the right. So that's what we had to do. He had the instincts to play the game, but at that point he couldn't. He knew he was done, and they brought him back to sell tickets. We were 2-14 in 78, probably the worst team in the history of the NFL. Every player was just out for themselves. There was no team spirit, nothing.
Did you know right away when Bill Walsh came in that it was going to be different?
So then the next year we were 2-14, but lost 8 games by maybe a total of 15 points. You could see it right away. He had that West Coast offense. Most teams hadn't seen it. I can remember running shallow cross. We went down the field horizontally instead of vertically.
Right.
Shallow crosses,
Right.
double reads on the ends. I can remember linebackers going, "Where'd he come from?" And try to grab you as he came by. So our first 2 or 3 years, that's probably why we won in 81. People just didn't know how to
weren't ready.
Yeah. And then the cover 2 came in with the 2 deep safeties, DB and linebackers all the way across to shut down the shallow crosses. But that 81 season, the San Diego Chargers should have won the Super Bowl. Dan Fouts, Kellen Winslow, Wes Chandler, Charlie Jordan. I think they had Chuck Muncie at running back. And they had that double overtime in Miami where they carried Winslow off the field and then had to go up to Cincinnati and play a negative 58 degrees or something from San Diego. So every time I see Dan Fouts, he says, "Hey, how's my Super Bowl ring?" I just saw Pete Shaw at a golf tournament out of Rancho Marietta, and he was talking about that year. And I said, "Oh my God, that's right. You guys should have won it." He goes, but that's the fate, luck of the draw. Bill got shunned by Cincinnati. And Paul Brown even tried to blackball him from the NFL. He was down coaching the Chargers, I think, for a little bit, and then got the Stanford job. So, and the 2 of the 3 Super Bowls Bill won, he beat the Bengals.
Yeah, I know.
And that's why that first one was almost fate.
Yeah.
Everything. We started the year 1-2. We signed Fred Dean, I think week 4 or 5.
Okay.
He turned the defense around, and all of a sudden we won like 10 straight. Lost to Cleveland at home, I think, and then beat the Giants, then the catch game, of course, and then the Super Bowl. So it was a magical run.
Were you in the game when the catch happened? Like, were you on the field?
Oh, God. So
I got a good one.
So tell us about this, and then tell us how Candlestick was when that catch happened.
Oh, it was unbelievable. So anyway, we were we only had 1 timeout, I think. So wide receivers were signaling in and out of the game.
That's how you get the plays in.
Yeah, and it's hard to go, down that quickly, and especially when. So we ran the catch play to the left to 3 plays prior. Freddie was wide open on a quick out. Joe overthrew him by 10 feet. We had 6 turnovers in that game. 3 interceptions, 3 lost fumbles. You don't win an NFC title game.
Never.
So we're like, Jesus Christ. Hell, he had me open deep and overthrew me. I go, dude, how do you overthrow me? So he called a sweep to Linville Elliott. Bill did. He called 2 plays at a time. And then the catch play again on the right side. Dwight just ran in the game. He heard it and ran in the game.
Huh.
For you?
Yes, for me. So
Shooting, you were open.
So I don't see a signal. I just ran. He goes, "I got it, Chewy." And I said, "Oh, okay." The catch happens. The most iconic play in the history of the NFL goes to Dwight Clark. So Dwight died of ALS about 5 or 6 years ago. I would go down to Capitola every Tuesday and have lunch with him because my daughter was at UC Santa Cruz. So something was bugging him one day, and he goes, Shuey, I got to tell you something. I go, what? He goes, and he told me the story. He says, Bill didn't tell me to go in. I just ran in the game. Because he was the one who's kind of practiced that play because of his height.
Yeah,
Sure.
And
it's designed for him almost.
and I said, so what are you telling me? The catch could have been me? And he's almost in tears. He goes, I am so sorry. I've been living with this for 40 years. I said, dude, don't worry about it. Fate has a funny way of working itself out.
Yeah.
If that was me and I don't make that catch,
Yeah.
I don't have a 30-year broadcasting career in San Francisco. So it worked out for both of us. But you. Yeah, I said, it would have been better for me had you kept that to yourself.
Yeah.
He goes, but I had to get it off my chest before I go, so.
Yeah.
So let's kind of, revisit that. So broadcasting career, I remember, this will age you a little bit, but I was a kid, saw you on TV a lot. I want to touch base about that, and then we'll go into kind of what you think about the Niners season. So, how was that career? Like, how did it happen? And then, tell us just how it went for 30 years.
And quickly after that catch, that candlestick went,
Oh,
yeah.
But we were so excited because, we were 1-2. Here we go, 2-14 again. Win 9 straight, and we beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, Washington in Washington. Some unbelievable victories on the road. And then we all said, maybe we can get to the playoffs. And then we won the catch game. And the catch made it almost like destiny.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, something's going on.
Yeah, I remember my dad talking about that season, and he was like, we went from just being a horrible team,
the worst team
to
in the league,
winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was just like.
So while I was playing, I was doing, radio shows as guest and TV shows as guest. Gary Radich had me in one time when he was doing that sports wrap-up show, and I was a guest. And because I got a degree in broadcasting, so I told my old man I can do 2 things well: catch a football and talk trash, and I made a living of both. so as a result, and what happened was KFOG radio, which was rock and roll then, and Kevin the Rat was the sportscaster, and he won that job in a contest. The radio station put it on. M. Dung was the head guy, didn't know sports at all. He goes, Joe threw 3 interceptions. What a game. And, the GM goes, we got to get a sports guy here. So Kevin won the job. He was, I don't even know, I think he was a waiter or something. And he's a good friend now. So he left for vacation, and they wanted to get somebody like me, an ex-player, to fill in every day. And I said, well, why don't I just fill in every day and I'll get a guest? And I got Joe to come in. And that's when that show started with him. Yeah. So they fired Rat while he was on vacation and kept me.
While he picked him.
Well, the old joke was don't go on vacation more than a week in radio and television. They'll give your job away. But he got hired by KRQR right away. And then we actually just played golf last week. So good guy. He's retired now. But that's how I got into it. And then KFOG bought KNBR, which was a news station, turned it into all sports. So now I'm jumping back and forth, 15 and 45 sports on KFOG and top and bottom of the hour on K. I was like a mouse and just running. So now I'm working 2 stations. I want to get paid. They didn't want to pay me, so I left and hooked up with KGO, started doing some weekend stuff. And then I was on their broadcast, pre and post game, sideline reporter. And then we were in the building with TV, which was upstairs. And general manager heard me do some bit. I can't remember what it was, but asked me if I wanted to do TV. And that's how it happened. I started.
It seems like that would be like the best job ever.
Well, back then, they didn't have really ESPN, NFL Network. So you usually stayed in the market you played and became a sportscaster then. So it was great for me. I played on 1 Super Bowl, covered 4 other ones, or 6 other ones. They lost 2.
Wow.
3 World Series with the Giants, 4 NBA titles with the Warriors, all kind of in that same, and it was just an unbelievable run. And then I go into Bochy, Bruce Bochy, the Giants manager, first time in his office, and he goes, you don't remember me, do you? That voice of his.
Yeah.
I go, and he said, we were freshmen together at Florida State.
Oh,
and I went, what? He goes, you don't remember my big ass head coming in
supposedly it's size 8. Nobody has an 8.
Oh, no. OJ did. OJ did. You can put his helmet on and spin his helmet around in your head.
Wow.
That's how big it was. So anyway, now I'm hooked into the manager, and then Buster Posey comes from Florida State. Yeah. So I was just hooked in, didn't know a ton about baseball, but you learn the sport. And if you played at the pro level and won a championship, other sports seem to give you a little more respect. Sure. I can learn the sport,
For sure.
So
Hey, Florida State Hall of Famer as well.
yeah,
That's a big deal.
well, back when I played, everybody ran the wishbone. So I could have gone to Alabama or Florida State.
Okay.
So I'm in Bear Bryant's office, and he's watching this TV up there. He's not even looking at me. He goes, "Why are you signing?" Richard Todd, the former Jets quarterback, showed me around. He said, "Oh, come here, man. We're going to throw the ball." I said, "Dude, you haven't thrown 8 passes in 3 years." And I just wanted to take another visit. So now I'm trapped in Bear Bryant's office. So he gets up. He goes, "Why aren't you signing, son?" I said, "Well, I promised to cut all the schools." He goes, "No, once you visit Alabama, there's no other school." And this deep drawl accent. So he gets up and his pant legs are clinging to him from static sting, both static cling. And I'm going, oh my God. You know, I figure he's 90 years old. He just doesn't know what's going on. I said, get me out of here, please. So somehow I talked my way out of there, didn't sign, got back to Tallahassee. I think it was my first plane ride on a Cessna. Damn thing was like this all the way to Alabama. And signed with Florida State right away. So,
And you have some bad teams there at first.
gosh, no, we were 0-11, 1-10, 3-8. And actually, I just got a call from a Tallahassee sports writer. In '74, Alabama was going to win the national champion that year. We had them 7-3 with a minute left. So we took an intentional safety, 7-5.
5, sure.
Kickoff, they get a good return or punt off, a return, and then Ozzie Newsome was a freshman, makes a great catch. Guy kicks like a 50-yard field goal, which back then was nothing. They beat us 8-7.
Wow.
Had we won that game, I think it would have turned our program around.
Sure.
We lost and just went further because we had all kinds of talent. I think not.
But you got Bobby Bowden. When
He
was that?
came 76, which was my senior year. So
You got to be part of that. Look at the legends, man. Bill
Walsh,
Walsh,
Bowden?
Bobby
no, I did get lucky with a lot of coaches and mostly head coaches though. And
That's awesome.
so in that year, though, I got in a little trouble off campus, and Bobby's first major decision was decide whether I could continue to play or not. And he almost had to do it, let me go, because, he's a new head coach, and he's going to show all the fans that, hey, I'm not putting up with any of this crap. So I wasn't there in '76. They went 5-6, which would have been my senior year, my freshman class. Had I been there, it would have made a difference in a couple more games. He would have never had a losing season at Florida State. His first year was 5-6. And it's amazing. They had, I think, like 10 or 15 straight 10-win seasons, won 2 national championships.
Oh,
He was just an unbelievable coach. He turned just a horrible program around. And I owe him for a second chance. And I came back and asked for a second chance. He brought me back because I was the best player on the team, so he had to let go of his best player.
Yeah.
And
imagine your NIL deal now,
right,
which you could have negotiated.
well, that's ruined college football.
Yeah.
The portal and the NIL. My brother the other day calls me last week and he goes, guess what? Norvell, the coach at Florida State, 5 or 6 players out during practice asking each other how much NIL money they got. And an assistant heard it. Yeah, an assistant coach heard it, went to tell the head coach, into practice, ran wind sprints for like a half hour.
Good
So if
for
I
him.
ever hear this, but he 2 years ago went 13-0 through the portal.
Yeah.
So he did a great job, but then
The quarterback got hurt.
yeah, fell apart last year. So you're never going to have that freshman class come in together and go through all the pain and growth.
The kids are too impatient.
They're all in 1-year deals.
Well, they're all entitled now. Like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I was a star in high school. You got to wait your turn. Arch Manning's a great example.
Yeah.
He waited 2 years at Texas, didn't transfer.
I like that about
Now it's and he's probably only going to play 1 year and come
Maybe.
out. Yeah, so it's ruined. They need to make like Nick Saban, the commissioner, distribute this NIL money equally. Because if your quarterback's making $5 million, your offensive line's not making anything.
Yeah.
I'm letting my guy go and hit the quarterback.
Yeah.
So it's ruined the sport. It really has.
Yeah. Let's transition to the current state of the Niners. How do you feel about the team this year?
Well, I wasn't a guy that jumped on Brock Purdy's bandwagon. He's a guy who's a good quarterback. He sees things, and that system he's in almost predicts where you're going to throw it. You'll have 1 or 2 options. So he does that well. He gets the ball out early, and he's turned out to be a find for them. Now, do I pay him $50 million a year? No. Now he's got pressure on him. he has a bad game now.
But
People
what
used to say, "Oh, he's a late choice." Now, no, he's making this kind of money.
What other option do you have though? Right? You got to sign him.
No,
right?
well, but you didn't have to pay him that.
I just think that's kind of what the
It's the going
market
rate.
turned
Right.
into. He's like top 12 paid.
Right,
Like that's
but
kind of who he is, right?
He's not going to win games by himself, like the kid in Buffalo, Lamar
Josh Allen,
Jackson.
yeah.
There's only 4 guys that can do that.
Yeah, exactly. So, but he's getting money paid like they're getting paid. So we'll see. And he's very religious. I've seen this with several players, not as much when I played, but
Yeah.
he's turned his life over to God. So it takes
Married really young.
yeah, it takes all the pressure off of him. He goes in a game and he
Yeah.
goes, it's in God's hands.
Yeah.
Back in the day, we'd say, no, it's not. It's in
Yeah.
your hands.
Yeah.
He has nothing to do with it,
Yeah.
But it's interesting how it relieves him of the pressure, but now on with the financial. So the running backs and wide receivers are so thin right now.
Yeah.
They've had like 10 running backs in camp. They've got about 10 wide receivers. I couldn't name, half the wide receivers on that roster. So that's my concern. The defense is going to be better than the offense this year. McCaffrey, he's a guy you're just waiting for him to get hurt. He had that one full season 2 years ago, 2023, I think. Got injured last year, and I saw it when it happened. I don't know if you remember the play. He got tackled. The guy grabbed his foot, and he landed right here. And that's how you tear your posterior.
Yeah,
and he got up and slammed the ball down like everybody thought, oh, he's mad because he didn't break it. I said, no. I said, he just tore his posterior cruciate. And sure enough, he did. So we'll see. It's they have with solid back, that defense is going to be aggressive. That's what got him to the Super Bowls. And it's just a matter, Amari Cooper's out there. I don't know why he doesn't get veteran players because they pick up offenses quickly.
Yeah.
He keeps would they get this kid Sky Moore from Kansas City yesterday?
Gadget guy.
Yeah, and he's not picking. It's hard to pick up an offense like Kyle's with only a week left before the season.
So 10.5, I think, is the over/under on their wins. You think that's an over or under? I think the NFC West is a little underrated. I think there's some good teams in there.
I think Seattle's going to surprise people. That new coach. Rams are always going to be good. Cardinals, you just never know, but they seem to always beat the Niners. And
Kyler Murray's best games ever.
Yeah, exactly. So it's stronger than you think, but I think that's right around 9-8, 10-7.
Okay.
That they can pull it out. It's like Kyle said, we just want to build and get to the playoffs. This isn't to talk about, rebound 3 or, from the Super Bowl. So I'm pulling for him, but I just, it's almost a rebuild. And that offensive line, they haven't spent a dime since he's been there. And this is 10 years. And Bill and John Madden thought after 10 years, the head coach is done. Yeah. Players stop listening to you. Okay. Most of the guys you brought in are gone. So it'll be interesting this year with him and Lynch because they have not done well.
You brought up the wide receivers. One guy that I am excited about, we talked about it. There's not a lot of white wide receivers. We got Slick Ricky Pearsall. First question, when the Niners drafted him, did you know he was white?
Yes.
I had to Google it, and if you put in "is Ricky" right away, it populated. Is Ricky Pearsall white? So I wasn't the only one that had the question.
Oh, I see. Like he might be mixed or something.
I wasn't sure, right? I popped on the highlights, and you know what it said right underneath it?
It said the
coldest white boy in college football. So I'm excited to see Slick Rick this year.
I've never even thought about that because usually you'd have a white guy. He's automatically labeled a possession guy.
Yeah,
which I hated because I ran a 4.5, like a 35-inch vertical.
Totally.
So it just drove me crazy. But when I saw him, I said, "Oh my God." And he has that kind of track guy stride, which is unusual because I'm sure if he ran or not. But I like his game in the first preseason game. He knows how to find the holes. And Purdy needs a guy like him who runs around how he's supposed to, not freelance. Because Brock throws the ball so early, which is great. Yeah, which is great for a wide receiver. But have you ever seen Justin Jennings not get hit by 3 people on a catch? See, he sets wide receivers up as a result to get injured. And nobody's talked about that, which drives me crazy. But wide receivers aren't going to say anything because they won't get the ball.
They want the ball.
So I think Rick, if he can stay healthy, you've seen the hamstring. Yeah. I mean, this guy gets shot.
But you can't question his toughness, right?
Exactly, right? And he seems to have a little redneck in him, which isn't bad. It's like kind of the ghetto for white people.
Yeah, he's got some swag.
He's got some swag, and But we'll see how he adjusts to, can he catch 60 to 80 passes a year and take that beating? So
We're gonna find out this year. He's gonna get a lot of attempts.
I think so, and I just love the combination, because a lot of guys like Brock, players like that, always had a quote possession guy like Ricky,
Yeah.
and Jennings was that. I'm not even sure Jennings now. What's going on with his calf?
Yeah. That's
In a calf in football, the next injury is your Achilles.
Yeah.
So
And he wants to get paid.
well, he just lost all his leverage for that.
Yeah.
So they'll either trade him or put him on the physically unable to perform to start the season and go with all these young players. And Cowing, the kid from Arizona State,
never played.
has all this speed. He's always injured.
Never
Yeah.
played.
He got injured again in camp. He was doing pretty well. So those are the two concerns. Running back, CMC's got to stay healthy, McCaffrey, and then Pearsall's got to, have a great second year. So,
Weak schedule though. So they
you know what? I don't buy that. Every team in the NFL can play.
That's true.
Some don't.
You don't know who's good or bad.
Yeah.
when the
And
schedule
each
comes
game,
out.
who knows? You might have injuries, this, that. So
Yeah.
I never have fallen for that trap. So
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about some golf. Okay, we got the Ryder Cup here in about 2 or 3 weeks, and this will probably be one of our last topics. I appreciate you coming in and going through all this stuff with us. But the Ryder Cup, Bethpage Black in New York. Okay, you mentioned it a little bit. Could be maybe the weakest 6 to start in a long time. We got the number one
And
player in the world.
is Happy Gilmore eligible?
yeah.
Adam Sandler could be eligible for.
Hey, he
the
can
Ryder
flip
Cup.
that team around. I'm just
So,
saying, if you're out there, Happy.
I just got back from the UK, and they are thinking they're going to kick our ass in New York. They haven't won, I think, since what, Medina?
The United States hadn't won, right?
What I'm saying, Europe hasn't won in the United States.
Oh,
since Medina.
yes, right.
They're thinking that they're going to come into New York and take us out. What are your thoughts?
Well, Bethpage is a real second shot golf course, if I recall, right?
It's a long golf course.
So it is a driver and a second shot. I saw the first. I go when they did it. You got Scheffler, Rory, Fleetwood. And I'm saying, well, Rory's on the European team. He's on the European team. So all of a sudden we got. I can't even remember. The top 3 were legitimate, and then the Harris English man.
Yeah, so you got Scheffler, right? You got JJ Spawn. You got looks like Harris English is going to be on the team.
Yeah. McNeely,
Bryson DeChambeau, right?
Oh
You got
yeah, I like
Bryson.
that.
DeChambeau,
Yeah, right.
So I mean, those are their big players, but who knows who is Keegan gonna actually put himself on the team and play?
Well,
as a
Rory
big
said
team?
they asked him about that. He said, "No, I think it's impossible to do."
Yeah.
And Keegan, he's got that fire. He's got, he's playing as well as he's playing. He's top 15 in the world, I think, right now.
I think right now, I'm gonna make a prediction. I think he's gonna put himself on the team.
And he's got
gonna
Jim
play.
Furyk, who can coach while
Yeah.
he's playing.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to play too. But you always have Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. Jordan doesn't deserve to be on there. But you can go for your go-to guys. Morikawa, he's having caddy issues and hits in his head right now. So I think the key is going to be the next 6 picks that Keegan has for alternates. So, but Europe, Rory, Fleetwood, they're always tough. And but I'll give United States the advantage because they're at Bethpage.
Yeah,
So
I agree.
I hope so.
Scotty Scheffler does not lose. So
Well, it's become like Tiger. Like
who cares?
It's Scotty versus who this week? I told my brother.
Versus the
I
field.
said I can't watch the PGA anymore because it's really just Scheffler.
Yeah.
Like McIntyre had a 4-stroke lead on him last week, and I turn it on. I see the chip in from 17. I go, "Are you kidding me? Did he come back and win that?"
It's just one of those things right now. He's just on fire.
And with that swing, not the classic swing to dominate like he does.
He never gets in trouble.
Well, I
He
think
never
by
gets in trouble.
he's so consistent. His footwork maybe takes the pressure off his lower back.
Yeah.
Like when Tiger was swinging so
his knee
hard.
probably too.
Exactly. So I thought maybe that's going, but as I thought about it, I said, maybe that footwork's taking the pressure off of his body. So he's amazing. He doesn't need the attention. You're not going to find him going out, sleeping with 18 different women, like Tiger. And so he's
18's that's a low number. For
That was per city.
that's a full golf course.
Yeah.
So he's just great for the game, Scotty, and I just couldn't pull for him at first, but man, it's just amazing. He's just so consistent, And I guess if you're with him in the final group on Sunday, it's like you're in with you.
Yeah.
You don't have a chance.
Yeah.
So,
well, Mike, hey, listen, I think we'll wrap this up. We could probably sit here and talk for hours, but one thing I really appreciate you working with Nick and I right?
Well,
And-
like I said, it fell in my lap, and then when I came to Nick, I said, "Damn, I like this duo. It's kind of the dynamic duo of your industry."
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
and you
Remember
both-
that if you look up
you
dynamic
both,
duo.
You both have game. You know, you can talk in anybody's language. Like I came to you, didn't know anything, and I was depending on you. So, and it's a field where you really have to trust, you know, the realtor and the financier. So, no, it worked out great. And I appreciate both of you for that reason.
Yeah. And thanks for coming in talking to Niners.
Real quick, though, I got to give a shout out to Sac State.
Okay.
On my bike ride every morning, I go through Sac State. So one day I hear some whistles, and I said, "Where's the stadium on this campus?" I find it. I go back. There's practice. So I'm talking to one of the recruiters, and I said, "You know, if he would do that, he would do that." He says, "Well, you know a lot about football." I said, "Yeah," and you know, didn't follow. People aren't curious anymore.
Yeah.
He didn't follow it up, and I said, "Well, yeah, I love the sport." So anyway, they've got a transfer from Alabama at quarterback.
Yeah.
No,
Georgia.
Sorry, Georgia.
Georgia.
And I said that you're getting a lot of single A coming down to double A where you can get some reps, a new head coach. And I just think the city's not behind Sac State enough.
I think it's shifting though.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is. I hope so. I'm new up here. But
Yeah, it's shifting
a
a
great
little.
little stadium. They tried to move up to Division I and didn't have enough NIL money.
That's a matter of time.
Yeah.
So the basketball program's making some huge leaps. They had a
Yes.
huge fundraiser last night. I don't know if
Okay.
you saw. Shaq was there. Mike Bibby.
Oh, that's right. Shaq's
Mike
involved.
Bibby's
That's
the head
right.
coach of the basketball team.
So I think the city needs to get behind that
I love it.
school in
Yeah,
every
I love
sport.
it. We're Pac-12 bound here.
Yeah,
Coming.
exactly. That's
We're
what I
coming.
think. So
Yeah.
anyway, it was just fun to see it. Back in the day when you're
We
trying,
might need you.
So
Yeah, let's get involved, Mike.
I got about 10 good routes left in me.
All right. All right.
But they all have to be out so I can run out of
I'll help.
Run out of bounds.
We'll negotiate your NIL deal.
Yeah.
That's
Just so, hey, I'll charge you less than 6%.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, this was a great day. Appreciate you coming in.
Hey, my
Um,
pleasure.
Thanks for having us in here, Nick. And until next time.